And with that, we are live. There we go. Folks, welcome to the LifterLMS pre-sales call. Me and Magic Will Middleton will be live for the next hour or so. We will be congratulating Will on his move to Seattle. Seattle?
Yep.
Dude, you shaved all your facial hair off. You got that young kid grunge scene, like movie made in the 90s look about you right now. I mean, you're going to fit in just perfect there.
Thank you. The young Val Kilmer.
There you go. A young Val Kilmer. We can go with that. You ever see the movie The Doors with Val Kilmer?
No.
Dude, man, I am not that old. You got to start catching up on some of the stuff I might have seen in my life.
Right. It's like, is that one from last millennium? Is that from the 1900s?
It's from the 1900s. Yeah. Were you born in the 1900s? Yeah, I was born in the 1900s. So yeah, Val Kilmer did a wonderful portrayal of Jim Morrison in The Doors. That was a pretty remarkable thing. There was another movie that was out, like a young kid was like a photographer for Rolling Stone magazine, and he went around with a bunch of bands. I can't remember the name of that movie. If you're watching this, if you're one of the people signed in and you're watching this, put that in the comments if you know the name of that movie with that kid that was following the rock stars around taking pictures. That was an interesting movie too. That was a pretty twisted movie. Hey, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. I like you said, I'm now in Seattle, just settling in. I'm as far as LifterLMS projects, I'm just kind of recapping in my mind what I've been working on this week. I've had a lot of questions about SkyPilot. I've been doing a lot of consulting about SkyPilot. How do I set up my blocks? How do I get certain things to be certain widths and all this? So I'm hearing a lot of questions lately about the full site editor framework, but that's what I've been working on this week. How about you though?
I'm gonna say a similar thing. Just like you, I do some work on the side. Obviously, I have my own agency, and like the questions I'm getting are, hey, I want to use all this cool functionality, but I want to design a website in Figma and have you make my website look just like my Figma imagination, and it's like, this is dynamic content. It's coming in from 3 different channels in your database, or however you want to phrase that, right? You could have a shopping cart putting forth content. You can have the LMS putting forth content. You have your blog, which is part of your core WordPress, putting out content, and then you're making something up without really understanding that in Figma. And then you're saying, hey, I made this really cool looking website in Figma, and I want my whole website to look just like this. And you're like, we can get close. we can get close, but it's been interesting for me, a lot of that. And as you well know, and I tell people right up front, so it's not a surprise, I'm a little bit design handicapped. I'm not a graphical person. I'm more of a functions person. I'm like an integrator, right? Like, hey, you want to use a template and some really cool tools and a CRM and integrate things and make it automate, great, let's do that. But when you start with the, hey, I invented my own vision of what I think the perfect world is on the internet, even though I've never run a successful membership or learning site before in my life, this is what I want it to look like. And it's like, where did that come from? And it's been interesting. So I've been using your line lately.
What was that?
Because you in your youthful exuberance have a wonderful, very bold question. Why do you want to do that?
Oh yeah.
Why do you want to do that? As an old school developer, I'm used to saying, yeah, we can do that, and then figuring it out. But I like your approach better. Why do you want to do that?
Yeah, I was talking to someone about that this week too. I wanted to share. This is from our YouTube comments real quick. This is a nice comment. It is, you're such a wonderful buddy. That's a great question.
You're such a wonderful buddy. Who did that come from?
Looks like Royal Flight Center.
So it's not like from your friend Bob.
No, I don't know who Royal Flight Center is.
Because that'd be like a comment I would put. I would stalk you on the internet and then be like, "Hi, you're a wonderful buddy."
Awesome. But if we do have any wonderful buddies watching us live, feel free to drop any questions you have about Lifter LMS in the chat, anywhere you're watching, Twitter or X, YouTube, StreamYard, Facebook, because we'll see them come in and we'll be able to pull your comments up on stream and we'll be able to screen share and answer those for you. But if we don't have a lot of questions coming in, we'll venture around in our experience in the last week. We'll venture around in the YouTube comments and we'll venture around in Facebook and see what kind of LMS advice we could get into.
Yeah, and I'm going to give Will a shout out that he's probably not expecting, and that is somehow or another you made the Google gods happy on YouTube, on my Kurt Von Onen account and on my Getting It Done yesterday. Look, you're still there. You know what? I'm going to do a screen share just so you don't think I'm full of it. You are ending up on all of my suggested video screens for YouTube.
Nice.
So your thumbnail is right here.
Let's see. Get back over there. No, nice.
Where did it go?
Nice.
It just disappeared. Your Calendly one. There it is.
Yeah.
My mouse was over it.
How many views does that have? It doesn't got that many views, like 10?
It says 21 views.
Oh, 21. Okay. Yeah.
21.
That's
and then you have the red one with Vimeo or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one popped up yesterday, and I was like, I don't know who Will's paying off. I don't know if he's buying Google ads or what, but I am seeing you. Like, I work with you. I pull. I don't need a tutorial from Will. I'll call the man. And but you're popping up like crazy, dude.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And I mean, like what Kurt said earlier on the call, that's a good example of my graphic design skills are, I mean, I'm working on them, but they're not at that level with my thumbnails. So what I do is I go into Canva and I just use these Canva templates. So like Kurt mentioned about why do you want to do that is like, you know, there's the out of the box tools are designed in a certain way that kind of assist your ability to put out content as quick as possible as a course creator. And the same thing with Canva. It's like, I don't have to learn to be a graphic designer, because I can just take these templates and kind of work with what's there already. So I'm not trying to rebuild my template from scratch. I'm just, you know, working off of what's already there. So like Lifter is a platform that you can use to accelerate your ability to deploy learning by not worrying about how to structure courses and just kind of filling in the content with your expertise. It's similar with Canva too. Like these tools online really offer a lot of that acceleration for you in your business.
Yeah, one of the tools I use for my social media stuff is called Hero Post. I'm a sucker for a lifetime deal, so they had a lifetime deal. I signed up for it. Boom, in, right? So you think no big deal. But they just recently activated the Adobe Express AI tool in their platform. And so I went into that. Now, I'm an Adobe Creative Cloud user. So I was able to sign into that, and it's a very Canva-like experience, but connected directly to the social media posting tool, which is kind of cool.
Nice. Let's see, we got.
So I have one from a Bianca Johnson that popped up in the Facebook if we don't have any questions yet. And I kind of wanted to run this one by you, Will. I'm going to put it down in comments so we see it. And I'm just going to put it in through the Kurt account so it's not going out to like every single thing out there. So this one. Has anyone had issues with the enroll all button not working in memberships? So for those of you that are new, right, this is a pre-sales call. When you have an existing membership, you can auto-enroll people into courses. And so the auto-enrollment feature in memberships is such that, let's say you add a new course, but you already have 1,000 people enrolled in your membership. You can add the course and then you select enroll all, and it will enroll all the previously enrolled people in that membership into that new course. Okay, so it's a really cool automation tool that's part of the LifterLMS platform. But she says she has a large site with over 4,000 members. So the first thing I want to do is give her a shout out for having 4,000 members. That's amazing. And then it says, I can't seem to be able to enroll into new courses as they're loaded to their membership. And then, of course, she says it's incredibly frustrating. It's on the Beaver theme. She has an Infinity license and blah, blah, blah. So just to let folks know, she submitted this on our Facebook page. I did give her an answer that I thought was reasonable. And then we also referred to submit a support ticket because our support team is amazing. So there's all of those things, right? So when you see this, don't think I just ignored somebody. But Will, what do you think about this? I thought possibly she might have a caching issue because it seems like she didn't have the problem before, but she has it now. And then the other thing I thought of was, do you think with that many students, that student caching thing in settings and status could have any effect on that?
I don't think so. The item in the student caching is for the reporting. So it's like the reporting tables in the back end use heavy caching because there's so much data loading that you might want to clear the cache for that one if you're trying to get a new report. But a large site, 4,000 members, can't seem to get my enroll into new courses as they load into their membership. So this sounds like a cron job issue because what I feel like I don't know if I can find a piece of documentation on this, but this rings a bell about background tasks. In WordPress websites, there's something you can do with background tasks called cron jobs. So if something is going to be like a scheduled post or something's going to happen at a certain time, and it's not going to be triggered by something, is with PHP in WordPress, which is what it's built in. It's built on like these triggering events. Like if someone takes an action, this PHP loads and it does a bunch of things at once, but it doesn't do like this asynchronous stuff. And so that's where cron jobs come in to say at designated times, we're going to run these certain tasks that are not user activated. But enrolling in a course, when someone enrolls in the membership, they auto enroll into a bunch of courses. It sounds like that's a cron job issue. I think that relies on cron job. So I would recommend checking that out first because that's like a background task that's happening when someone enrolls in the membership. The website needs to go do some other stuff. And let me see if I could find a doc on that, but that's my first guess.
Yeah. And then, maybe the level of hosting or something like that could have something to do with something timing out too. I wasn't sure how to think about that.
Yeah, and so cron jobs are dependent on your website host. So that is really important to have that conversation with your host if some of this stuff is failing. I found our guide about cron jobs. I'll put it here in the chat. All destinations.
There's another source on cron jobs, and I think just because he seemed obsessed with it for a while, was Adrian Toby at Groundhog. He made a lot of content about cron jobs. And so if you find our content lacking in any way, which normally is not the case, but if you're looking for that icing on the cake, looking stuff up with authored by Adrian Toby is worth taking a look, because like he did a deep dive on cron jobs and how to set them up externally and link them and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Average progress. This triggers a background process which gets current progress of all students in the course. Yeah, I'm just sorry, I'm reading code now. I just went off the path.
I'm sorry, I'm reading code now. I've gone crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I share my window. Which window is it? This one. Oh, right over here. I think this is the bulk enrollment thing. Handle background processing for average. This triggers a background process which gets the current progress of all students. Progress is queued for recalculation. I don't know if this is the auto enroll feature, but these background processors can be interrupted when your cron jobs aren't set up well. So I'm thinking that that's one of those background processes that triggers on enrollment into a membership, and that background process is somehow being interrupted.
There you go.
But yeah, the tech team would be able to actually look into the back end of your website and then give you a more specific diagnosis there.
Cool. You want to jump on that next question you put in?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a way to tag people that use a coupon on a course? Thanks. So I'm assuming we're talking about tagging in like a CRM or an email list tool, like a MailChimp or a ConvertKit or something like that. This was a question in the Facebook group, but there's not like a way in the WordPress admin to see who's used a certain coupon. I've heard that feature request a bit where people say, hey, I want to be able to click on my coupon and see which users have redeemed that coupon. But that's not currently a feature in Lifter. But you can do things with like WP Fusion and your CRM, I believe. I should actually verify that. WP Fusion LifterLMS, because I believe there's like WooCommerce stuff you can do, but let me switch my screen to this one. Let's explore the WP Fusion docs and see if that's an option. So coupon, I don't see coupon, unfortunately.
Yeah, Chris had put a link on that one about using affiliate WP to record the coupon and then I guess track it that way. But then, same as you and I always discuss, right? How many things are we layering on top of each other to make something happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, this goes back to why?
Why?
Do you think the coupon's not working? Is nobody signing up?
Yeah, and a simple solution might be to like, depending on the use case, like Kurt, you talk a lot about use case. If the use case is we just want like a quarterly report about which coupons are performing the best, you could do an export of the orders post type into a CSV file, so you have a big spreadsheet of all your orders from the last quarter, and then you can filter by the coupon field. So yeah. Apply these tags once the voucher is used. So this is nice. So in did they say something about voucher? Coupon code. So no, that's the coupon code. So in LifterLMS, there's two types of codes, right? You have a voucher code and a coupon code. And I can demo both of those here in a second. But it looks like, unfortunately, the coupons don't work, but the vouchers do work with this. But yeah, let me see if WooCommerce, WP Fusion. I just want to make sure if there's any kind of way to do a coupon. Track coupon usage. Okay, so if you're using WooCommerce, it looks like WP Fusion supports coupon usage tracking. So you could say when somebody places a WooCommerce order, if a certain coupon was used, go ahead and apply a tag in my active campaign, in my MailChimp, and whatever you're using. But this does require WP Fusion, which I think is like $250 a year, plus WooCommerce. It is free, but it requires a few extra tools on top of LifterLMS. So this is definitely an advanced setup to go down this road. But then there is that option for vouchers and coupons I was talking about. So let me actually go to here, share screen, window, this one. This is the back end of my site. And if I go to orders under LifterLMS, we have two options, coupons and vouchers, and these things get confused a lot. So LifterLMS has this access plan system on courses and memberships, and that's how people enroll into your courses and memberships usually. They'll go to, if I go to a new tab, and I view my course, I probably have an access plan set up on this one. There it is. So this is a free access plan, but you could do a paid access plan. You could do one-time payment of $100. You could do $10 a month. You could do $100 a year. You could set up all kinds of advanced different types of access options for your courses and memberships. And the coupon system works with access plans. So if you did like a $10 a month course, if I were to do that here, if I edit my course and scroll down to my access plan section, I'm going to add a new one. Let's do, I have LifterLMS WooCommerce integration installed.
Let
me go turn that off so we can see just LifterLMS out of the box. No WooCommerce, no complexity right now. But if you did want to use WooCommerce, you would use this integration. You would connect it to your WooCommerce product, and then you would track the coupons through the WooCommerce order. Definitely possible, just a bit more complex than what I'd like to get into. So if we reload, now we should have just the LifterLMS setup. Scroll down back to my access plans. There we go. So now this is what LifterLMS access plans look like out of the box. If you're using the LifterLMS Stripe or PayPal gateway, those are the ones I prefer to use. I would do enrollment or maybe $10 per month plan, something like that. And then I can do my $10 every month for all time. And that looks good to me. I don't want to do a trial offer or anything. I'm going to save this. I just want to demo how exactly these coupons work. So let's view my purchase plan. Once it loads, I'm going to click my purchase link. And so here we are on my checkout page, $10 a month, and it says have a coupon. Click here to enter your code. And so as a website admin, you can create these coupon codes. If I do add coupon, this will be Will 2024 is the code. And I could do a percentage discount. I could do it on recurring access plans or one-time payment access plans. This is a recurring plan of $10 a month. So then I'll give you like a 25% discount, right? So then I'll publish that. Will 2024 is the coupon. So now people can come here and type Will 2024, apply the coupon, and get a 25% discount. So that's how the coupon system works. But then we also have a voucher system, and how vouchers work is a bit different. A voucher is like a ticket to an event. Like if someone were to buy a ticket to an event for you and then give you that ticket, that's kind of how the voucher system works. Kurt might have a better metaphor for that, but I think of it as just sort of a paid for compensated ticket. And LifterLMS has this groups add-on now, which is much more advanced than vouchers. But for the last like 10 years, or LifterLMS has been around for like 9 years, for the 9-year Lifter history, for most of that, like 7 of those years, groups didn't exist. So how would a company enroll a bunch of people into your courses if they wanted to buy in bulk? Or how would a school enroll a bunch of students into your course if they bought in bulk? They would use the voucher system. And so they would pay you independently. They would pay you like via a check or bank or
$10,000.
$10,000. And so if you were to make a deal with the company, $10,000 for 10 seats, $1,000 a seat, it's usually $1,500, but they bought 10, so they get a bulk discount. What we could do is say company, company or
Company.
No Moss.
That company rocks
on my site. Absolutely. So Kurt at Mañana no Mas has bought 10 seats on my site. So I'm going to just mark that down. And the 10 seats are to the business budgeting course. And I also made the deal to give them access to these 2 courses, right? And then we're going to give them some codes. So we're going to give them 10 codes with 1 use per code. You could also do 1 code with 10 uses per code, but I'm just going to do 10 codes. So each of the people will use their own independent code. And these codes are randomly generated, but I could do, Mañana no Mas 1, Mañana no Mas 2. I could manually rename these if I wanted to. And then we can see the uses of these codes, and I can go ahead and publish this. And I can export this as like a spreadsheet file, and I can send it off to Kurt if I wanted to, with the vouchers and redemptions. Or I could just, copy and paste these into a spreadsheet and send them. But, I would probably export it as a CSV and send that over. And then what Kurt would do is give those codes out to his team members. And then those team members would come to my website with their voucher code, and they would sign up probably on the dashboard page with that code. So if I go ahead and log out, I need to go back to the dashboard if it takes me back to the WP admin. No, it doesn't. Okay. So they will come to my website. I don't have registration enabled. 1 second. Let's turn on registration. I'm going to go in a new tab. I've got to go click my auto login link again. 1 second. Background process. We got to do like
enabling the open registration, right?
Exactly. So as a LifterLMS site owner, you have an option to enable open registration, or you have the option to leave it disabled. And a lot of people will leave it disabled if you're not using the voucher system. It's good to leave it disabled because we don't want free users coming in and spamming the website with like bot attacks. But if you require like a voucher, there's no way they would get into the site without the voucher, right? So I'm going to click open registration, make sure that's enabled. Now, if I visit my dashboard page and log out, we should see something different. Go ahead and sign out.
Sign out.
Sign out. There we go. So register. So this is where people would come with their voucher code, have a voucher, and they would take one of the codes that I sent to Kurt and Kurt sent to them, and they would enter that here upon registering, and then that would automatically enroll them into the 2 courses that were associated with that voucher. That was a super long explanation, but that's how coupons versus vouchers work in Lifter and why you might want to consider either one. But Kurt, do you have any use cases with coupons and vouchers that you'd like to highlight?
Offhand, no. I mean, we've got the resources on it, and I use groups a lot, which enable someone, you could sell to a company, establish a group leader, and then that group leader gets their own group page in the website where they can invite users, to fill so many seats. That works really well. However, one thing to note, when you use things that manually bypass the access plan, those expiration dates or terms don't transfer with. So like if I use groups and I put somebody into a course, I didn't put them into the course with an access plan that has an expiration date. And so they tend to have access for as long as it takes, right? And so some people get a little weirded out by that, because they're like, I just want them to have 90 days access, right? I just want to have 180 days access. And then I need to get better at asking Will's famous question for that. And that is, why? Why do you want to limit people all the, because it's really hard to get people to, not hard to, but course completion is one of the metrics that can be difficult to fulfill. And so sometimes when you give people that extra time and space, you'll have a higher completion rate, because you take some of the pressure off. But hey, Jane, welcome. She says, welcome to the UK.
Awesome. Great to be in the UK.
Yeah, awesome. Anyone else that's watching, if you want to pop in and tell us where you're from, that's awesome too. We'll give you a share and a shout out like we did for Jane there. Thanks for coming, Jane. Appreciate that. But yeah, the vouchers and coupons for me, the tracking the coupon is one of the oddest questions to me, because if I put out the coupon and my sales go up, the coupon's working. And if I go into my orders and I do a quick sort or a quick look at, like in your example, it was $10 and now it's $7.50 with 25% off. Well, how many orders do I have in there at $7.50? What's my percentage of orders going through at that lower dollar amount? And I'm just doing, because from a marketing perspective, I just want to see, is there momentum? Is there trending? Is there something happening from my effort? And so with a coupon, because remember, a coupon in theory is something you gave out to a lot of people to use to generate traffic and flow. And so you can look at your base level reporting through the site and kind of see, is it working or not? Whereas the voucher is a receipt, is a ticket, and it is very much user driven by a specific individual in most cases. So that's why I think it's really cool to know that the voucher is trackable. But the coupon, I've never really worried about it on any of my personal projects.
Yeah, and it speaks to the level of the business. We talk about like appropriate business size and stuff sometimes, where it's like, at what size of business are you incorporating different tools? And I like to stay as close as possible to the LifterLMS tools out of the box for as long as possible, just to keep the simplest setup with the least amount of tools, least amount of least amount of links in my chain that are able to break. And so with WooCommerce, there's like, even with WooCommerce reporting, you can see some basic things like coupon usage. But then I know at Lifter, we use a tool called Metric. And that's a more advanced reporting for WooCommerce that gets you all kinds of interesting data and good reporting about WooCommerce. So WooCommerce doesn't focus a lot on high quality reporting. They focus on high quality store setups and being able to create versatility and ecosystem and stuff like that. They don't focus a lot on the reporting. And so if you wanted a advanced e-commerce setup with high-end reporting with WooCommerce, you're going to need WooCommerce plus Metric. And I see the same thing with Lifter. It's like, if you want advanced reporting, you could either have it custom developed, or you'd want to lean into the WooCommerce market space and lean into Google Analytics, for example, and utilize some of those more advanced tools. Like more advanced requests require more advanced tools. But there are some workarounds for people at that smaller level, and we're definitely happy to log feature requests. And if there's a high demand for that sort of feature, our team might build it in there. So that's just kind of how I view it from the high end with meeting the business.
I don't see any real questions that have popped up that we need to address right now. So I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different, Will. And that was, if I share the screen and go to the showcase, I've been seeing a lot of energy lately on the showcase. And for those that aren't aware, if you go to lifterlms.com/showcase, you can see a really good collection of sites that are currently being used with LifterLMS. And so what comes up a lot is, what is this going to look like, or what's it going to feel like, or what's it going to, how does this translate to my use case? And so like a good example here is Tiny Chefs. You can link to all of our showcase sites just by clicking on them. And like, this is just a really good example of good graphics, good format, good user experience. A lot of the best practices here for having a LifterLMS powered website are in place. And so it just gives you an idea of what's out there when you're thinking about, well, what would I build? A lot of folks, when they think about, being a course creator and diving into the atmosphere, like you look at these sites and you go, oh, that makes sense. There's, to me anyway, Will, and you could correct me if you want, but I feel like there's a tangible difference between like building a 5-page, what I call a brochure website, and building a website with the intention of teaching people. There's a different feel, a different flow, a different user experience. And so I think when you can look at some different examples, you can go, oh, that's what they mean. That's cool. That makes sense. Like if I had to guess, and I'm not going to reverse engineer websites now live on the fly, but this one feels very Buddy Boss-esque. It has the beveled cards. It has that pop-up 3D feel with the drop shadows. It's got the side menu on the left. And remember, LifterLMS works with just about any WordPress theme. So you have unbelievable examples to look at in here and go, oh, well, what's a good example of something I would want to build, or something I would want to replicate, or a best practice I might see that I might want to try. Folks love Divi for some reason. And Divi, I say for some reason just because I'm not a Divi user myself. But even Divi has a piece in the showcase here, the Divi Academy. And this gives you a good example of diving in and seeing some examples made within Divi to give you a better use case of, hey, what would I want to build? If I could build anything, what would I want to build? And I know that at the beginning of the show, part of me was like, I would like to build something that is simple and out of the box and uses as many stock pieces out of LifterLMS as possible. But it's also cool to see what people do in the showcase. So that gives you an idea of what can be built.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did have a question from Tom here in chat. It says, hey folks, we're shopping LMSs and have a client with the following requirements for selling continuing education credits. That's a pretty common one, CEU courses. Must deliver a certificate on course completion. Absolutely, Lifter has that built in. Must deliver a score to the user to retain a score for 5 years. So I'm assuming that's like a grade. LifterLMS does have a grading feature that gives you a grade out of 100, and LifterLMS reporting data is maintained forever unless you as a site owner decide to automatically delete users after a certain number of years, which I do recommend. I like it's covering half my face, this question, but yeah, so as long as you keep the users on your website, their data will be there. But I do recommend that, having like an automatic delete users after 7 years thing, because if you run your business for a long time, it's really annoying to try to implement this later, where you go back and say, if the user hasn't logged in for 5 years, delete them. It's so complicated to do that later, but if you do it at the start, it'll save you in the long run. When you're at that 1 million student mark, when you're at that 300,000 student mark, the site's taking care of this data erasure, which cleans up your database and keeps your site functioning. It's like changing the filter in the air filter in your car. It's like you gotta, I mean, it's fine to keep it going, but once you hit a certain amount, it's like it's gonna start to cause problems and like spit. Kurt knows all about this. It's gonna have all this junk in the engine, and it's gonna slow things down once you get to a certain amount of miles and all this.
What's a little carbon buildup on your pistons and combustion area? Don't worry about it.
Right. And they'll save you money and some hosting in the long run with those bigger sites. But and then courses also need to be free to the client's employees. So groups, sounds like maybe Lifter groups. Also, we need a storefront to sell a PDF. Yeah, so LifterLMS could be your storefront to sell a PDF. I'm assuming that would be outside Lifter using WooCommerce. So you could do WooCommerce too. WooCommerce has a downloadable file feature where people pay for a WooCommerce product, they get a downloadable file. And you can track the number of downloads and stuff like that. But you could even use LifterLMS out of the box. I was talking about keeping it simple and using minimal tools. And let me show you real quick how you might do that, because this is an interesting setup that I demoed in a video a while back, but maybe I should make a new one. LifterLMS settings. Boom. So here we are. In the settings, I talked about creating a video library with LifterLMS, but in this case, we're doing like a PDF library. So what I would do is I would add a course. You could do a membership too. I guess if you have courses, maybe you would do a membership. And you could do it either way. So I've done ebooks, so basically selling ebooks through LifterLMS. And from the user perspective, they don't even know that they're buying a course. They think they're just buying an ebook, and it displays the ebooks on the dashboard, but it's just a category of course. So what I did for that website, and the PDF, the ebook was just a PDF. And so what I did is I did like a course ebook one, and then I put in here my download PDF below, and then put in a button to download now. And so we would link this button to the item in my media library or on a Amazon server, wherever that file is stored. We would put that link in this button right here. And since this is not a course, we don't need all this course syllabus stuff. Let's throw that all away. So we basically just have this content right here. And then I would put this content here in a group, and then I would make this group visible only to enrolled users. So you have to be enrolled in this course in order to see the download button. So let's go ahead and publish that. And then what I would do for the access plan, once it's done updating, there it goes. For the access plan, what we would do is just give it like a $10, if it's was it a free ebook, or is it a
He said he was selling it, so $10
okay.
sounds good to me.
$10 ebook access, one-time payment.
$10 you.
$10 is all it is. So then we'll put that link. We could do a sales page. We could do it however we wanted to do it, but for simplicity, we're just going to put the pricing table right there. Boom.
And you can change the button from enroll to buy the book, get the copy of the book, any of that. Support my written work. Yeah, I mean, you can change the button to say whatever.
Yeah, that's smart. That makes sense here. Get a copy of the book. Save that. And then that'll change this button, the orange, right? And then so this will be visible to people who don't have access yet. And so now if we view the course, as a website admin, I'm going to see, oh no, I'm not enrolled, right? So I got to pay $10 to get a copy of the book. And then once I'm enrolled, I'll see the download button. But then what I would do to separate these from my courses is that I would go to the back end of my site. I would create a category. And that category would be called ebooks. And then I would also create a category for courses. And then, so I have my ebook category, and then I would have my course category. Add new. And so now I have my two categories, ebooks and courses, for my course post type. And then I could do a quick edit, and this one is going to be put into my ebooks category, update. And then I've got like 20 courses on here that would all go like into the courses, because everything else on my website is a course. So we're going to update that in bulk. So now my categories are all sorted out. And what I can do now is if I go to my, if I'm trying to create a catalog now, I want to display on the front end of my site, I want to show my courses, and I want to show my ebooks. This is how I would do it. We would have my custom awesome catalog. So then what we would do, do I have a cadence on here? I would do like something fancy with the cadence blocks like this, where I'd have tabs. These would be my courses, and these would be my ebooks. You could do this any way you want to, but I would do a courses list with Lifter. And then we can say courses. I can display specific courses, or I can say courses in a certain category. So this is the ebooks tab. So this is only going to display courses in the ebook category. And then over here, we're going to display the courses in Lifter. And you could do this with shortcodes too if you're using Elementor or Divi, but I'm using just Lifter out of the box and cadence blocks, the free plugin. And so this is how I would structure my catalog, so that I had my two options. We got our courses available, and then we have our ebooks here. And so that kind of creates the separation. It creates the ability to have the people come purchase the ebooks. And then on your student dashboard page, once they have access to the ebook, I would just put on here the exact same thing to say, this might be a bit advanced for what you were looking to get into, but a table of contents. I wanted tabs. Tabs. There it is. Tabs. Just do the exact same thing, but instead here, this is going to say my ebooks and my courses. I think ebooks is like this. Then we'll do courses, and then we'll do the same thing where we'll say in the ebook category, but then I think we can do enrolled, right? We could say only my courses. So if I am enrolled in the course, I don't have any ebooks, right? Because I'm not enrolled. So it's going to say no ebooks for you. But then courses. And then I'm going to say I want to show only courses in the courses category. And then I want to show only courses that I'm enrolled in. And so this is how we're creating sort of a custom dashboard setup. And then we could actually eliminate some of the pieces from the Lifter dashboard because I'm now creating my own custom setup, because Lifter doesn't support ebooks out of the box, but now we're making it support ebooks. I don't have any ebooks available yet, but now we can maybe delete the My Courses area from here because we're doing it ourselves up here. But that's just kind of, that might give you some ideas about how you can do that ebook setup and where you could take it Lifter out of the box.
And there's so many other ways to extend that. Now, remember, pre-sales call, really for people just getting started, but sometimes we get down the rabbit hole a little bit. If you were to take Will's example and put that into a membership instead of a course, you would be able to sell the ebook for $10 and automatically enroll the reader of that book into a course or two courses or into, a cluster of courses if that's what you wanted to do. There's also, who is trying to call me? Look at that. Google Voice is trying to call me. You can also use Easy Digital Downloads, which, no, I don't want to. You can also use Easy Digital Downloads, and Easy Digital Downloads has an integration with LifterLMS. And so what I'll do with some of my clients is, sometimes working with the Lifter thing, they'd rather have that separation. And so maybe they put all of the downloads and PDFs and links to other things in Easy Digital Downloads, but then there's that integration where you can automatically enroll people through Easy Digital Downloads into courses or memberships.
100%. There's a lot of different ways to do it within WordPress.
It's WordPress, bro. We can do it any way we want.
Anyway, Tom said, awesome, thanks. I think I'd have to create a custom block for them to use when creating PDFs if I went the route to avoid missteps from the client team. But that seems promising. Awesome. And then Jane said in chat, do you have a preferred hosting system?
Yes, I do.
And then I guess that's the two-part question. We have part A, hosting system, and part B, tech support communication system. Absolutely. So Kurt, do you want to weigh in on the hosting?
No. I never want to talk about hosting. Hosting's one of those topics that just grows and grows and grows, and there's people get passionate on one side or the other about different things. I will give this much advice, and I should also let you know that we have a forthcoming resource coming to LifterLMS that talks about how to scale your LifterLMS project on different levels of hosting. And so it's a very relevant question. But all that taken into consideration, I would say use a WordPress managed host. In most cases, you want to use a host that's familiar with WordPress, that uses, WordPress managed hosting in their phraseology, and you want to make sure it's specifically optimized for WordPress. And then outside of that, besides looking at your budget and saying, I really just want to spend $3 a month, typically, like I pay $60 a month on my hosting plan, and I'm just being rather transparent with that. But I know people that pay $300 a month for their hosting plan. I know people that spend $1,000 a month on their hosting plan. But that is for the level of service, customer service, and for the bandwidth they expect to use with the level of traffic they intend to bring to their project. I will say, if you have the opportunity, ask, send in a support request to these different companies you're looking at and see what the response is that you get. Is the response timely? Is the response automated? Does the response have a person on the other end of it? Those are important to me. And I also ask questions about their caching structure. because caching on a dynamic website like a WooCommerce site, a BuddyBoss site, a LifterLMS site, excessive caching can wreak havoc on your user experience. And so you're looking for very limited caching, a decent monthly expense, and good support, good, support that responds quickly.
And there's one other thing that I wanted to highlight that's going to be very important a month from now, and that's PCI compliance. Is like, does your website host comply with PCI standards? Because some website hosts are for websites that don't take payments. They're for people who are creating blog websites. They're not accepting payments. For restaurant websites that are just displaying their menu and you have to actually go into the restaurant to buy something from them, they don't have to worry about that. But if you are taking payments on the internet, a month from now, there's going to be some new PCI compliance laws coming into play. So you want to make sure that your website host is a PCI compliant host, so that your business is PCI compliant because you accept payments. That's a big one, because like I've had a lot of my clients now moving off of these more budget $10 a month style hosting into the $30 a month hosting, just because they're PCI compliant, like going to a WP Engine or to, I don't know if Kinsta is PCI compliant, probably, but like just make sure that's another question to ask your host. And you'll find it in the documentation too. If you say like, is Kinsta PCI compliant, you can just Google that. But that's a question I'm asking now that I hadn't been asking last year.
Yeah, and there's tons and tons and tons of providers. And a lot of them are friends of LifterLMS. And so we get real cautious about just throwing names around, but we do have a recommended resources page on LifterLMS. It's lifterlms.com/recommended resources. And we list some of the friends of LifterLMS for hosting directly on that page. The tech support communication system email. I don't know if that was a question of what hosts have good email support, or if that was a question of, hey, what do you guys use for support for your own projects? If it's support for your own projects, and again, this is a pre-sales call, so I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole that's crazy, but I have been recently exposed to the whole suite of products by Fluent CRM. They're WP Managed Ninjas, I think is their company. And so they have Fluent CRM, they have Fluent Form, they have Fluent Booking, they have a thing called Paymatic. I think Paymatic is theirs, and that's a payment gateway. So they have these things. They have all these things. I've recently started playing with Fluent Support and Fluent Support Pro, which basically puts a Help Scout level support structure in the back of your WordPress website. So it is a really cool tool that leverages the email functionality of Fluent CRM, the form functionality of Fluent Form, and puts it into a support structure that works really well in your WordPress website. So I like the idea. Now there's 17 different camps on this too, but I like the idea of putting as much as I can into one project. And so I'll have my CRM, my marketing part of my website, the service side of my website, the teaching side of my website, the social side of my website. I'll have all of that stuff consolidated into one place with one theme, one design, methodology, one strategy, and make sure everything integrates and works cohesively for, reporting and stuff like that. There are some people that would say they'd rather break it into subdomains or even separate URLs. But I personally, at the size of my projects and the bandwidth of people I have coming, I find that I like to put everything together. If I had 4,000 users, I might look at that differently. But I don't have 4,000 users on any of my projects, any of my personal projects. So I'm very happy to put everything together.
Yeah. I think a lot of that does depend on project size. Like you said, it's like, how big are you? What's the budget size look like? So you can get like a MailChimp plan. I think they have like free up to like 200 users or something. And that's the one I'm on. And like for a lot of my projects, I'll start a MailChimp for free, something like that. Or like a Groundhog, or I think Fluent CRM is a free core. It's the core.
They have a free core one. Yeah. And then they have a pro level that automatically integrates with Lifter.
Yeah, and so there are considerations of it's like, are you going to put a CRM email list tool in the back end of your WordPress website, or are you going to do an offloaded thing like a MailChimp or an ActiveCampaign? Because if you put it in the back end of your WordPress website, now your WordPress server needs to have all this functionality that supports the ability for a mailing service to operate outside of it. Because like when you go to Bluehost, or you go to, because it's on a recommended resource page, or you go to Kinsta or wherever, and you're like, I'd like to install my WordPress site. Those servers that you're renting space on are designed to deliver HTML, CSS, run PHP, so it generates your HTML, CSS, and gets your JavaScript files and everything all organized and sends it to the end user. It's not designed to stream a 3 megabyte video to the end user. It's not designed to send like a bunch of emails, and like it's not designed to send 2,000 emails in bulk. Like, so there's like services like, you know, your MailChimp or whatever, where they have their actual Mandrill servers. The Mandrill is a sending service that MailChimp also owns, that those servers are designed to send emails. Their SMTP settings and all this stuff are all configured because they know that that server is going to be sending a lot of emails and it's going to be doing a lot of email business. And like Vimeo is configured specifically to deliver 3 megabyte video files. Their servers are dedicated to that. Vimeo is not going to serve an HTML file or run PHP for you. They're like, no, that our service is to deliver video. That's what we do. And so like, just thinking about putting a mail server in the back end of your host means that you need to make sure your host is compatible with sending a bunch of emails, or you're going to need an SMTP server. In most cases, you're going to need SMTP. Like if you go with Groundhog, you're going to need Mailhawk, and I'm sure Fluent. I think Fluent SMTP.
Fluent has an SMTP that comes with their platform, and then SendGrid, Elastic Email. I mean, we could just go on and on with all the options for that stuff. But yeah, it's good that you mentioned all that, Will, because all of that needs to be configured and optimized to work properly with your setup.
Yeah, and I did want to highlight another question that's kind of tangentially related: is what happens when the pink is selected? And so let me share my screen to show you exact. Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to keep it to myself. There we go.
This is in a question in the Facebook group when the pink is selected. So they're highlighting here. Can I zoom in on this? Yeah, right here. So I would like to receive information about the courses and memberships I've enrolled in on this website. So what that is from MailChimp, right? So LifterLMS has a MailChimp or ConvertKit integration. MailChimp and ConvertKit integration. You could use either one. And I don't know if I have it installed on this demo site. Let's see. I don't. Oh, well, actually, I would go to integrations to find that out. I don't know why I'm here. We would go to, where's my MailChimp? ConvertKit's at the top. MailChimp, there it is. So it's not enabled. Is ConvertKit enabled? No. Let me enable MailChimp real quick. Show you what that does. Why? Maybe I need to put in my API key to get access to my settings. But in here, there's what MailChimp does is it puts on this message. So this is a very common question with LifterLMS users and using MailChimp or ConvertKit, is that if a user does not check this box, their contact record is not added to MailChimp or ConvertKit. They actually have to like consent to their email. They have to say, I'd like to receive the information about the courses in order for their email to be sent to MailChimp or ConvertKit server. We've had support tickets come in that say, hey, I'm using the ConvertKit integration and only like 50% of my students are ending up in ConvertKit. And that's because 50% of the students are checking this box. And unfortunately, there's not a way in Lifter, the MailChimp or ConvertKit integration to just force their email over there. They actually, like the developers designed it with like the GDPR consent rules in mind of like, they have to say they want their email to go to your ConvertKit or MailChimp. And, but if you're using a WP Fusion or something, I think you could just force the emails over there it doesn't matter if the user checked the box or not. Now I would not do that. I would recommend having the checkbox where like you only put the email in your CRM if the student said that they wanted that. But I think there's ways to get around it if you absolutely need to.
All right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
you had Jane.
Never mind. I just wanted to, it's cool that you guys are asking questions, but you got to sign in earlier. We're coming up on the end of the hour soon. Jane put, thanks, you'll gather I'm at the start of our search and I'm moving from a customized LMS, much appreciated. Jane, I feel your pain. I worked with multiple custom learning management systems at the corporate level. And so, depending on what kind of a customized corporate system you're on, you could be looking at multiple stages of a migration. Here's what I will say. I worked with one corporation that was on a platform that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to have built and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to host, and was still managed internally at the corporate level. So you can imagine how much money they spent on this thing. When I went to them and said, hey, for 10 grand, you could host this thing and move all the content to WordPress, they thought I was crazy. But it turned out that the WordPress platform, looks better, more modern, functions better, everything. So don't be scared. Do your research, figure it out, and take a look. But if, for instance, if you're on SCORM, if your custom LMS is using SCORM content, don't make the assumption that you can't run SCORM on WordPress, because you can. We integrate with a tool called Grassblade, and we have resources on our website for how to integrate with SCORM, how to get the reporting synced with your website's reporting, and how to use that. So I just really wanted to encourage you when I saw that comment come in. All of the stuff that you do in your custom learning management system more than likely crosses over and works with us as well. And then Will actually has direct experience using a new tool called Transfer. So if you're not on, maybe you have a custom LMS that you think is custom, but it's really built on, say, a product like LearnDash. There are ways that we can take the content from LearnDash and migrate it to Lifter, so you don't have to go upside down on labor hours trying to copy and paste a bunch of material over. And with 2 more minutes left, we can get to Tom, who I think he's a repeat question, but he says, oh, that video comment reminds me of another question. What sort of video hosting or offloading to CDN does Lifter support?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you can, anything that you can embed in WordPress, you could embed in a LifterLMS lesson or course, right? So because the lesson page just uses the WordPress block editor. So if you have like your AWS hosting and you can embed that way, I've seen people do that. But there is a feature of LifterLMS in the Infinity bundle called LifterLMS Advanced Videos. And for continuing education, this might be specifically relevant because it has multiple features, but the main one is it can require students to complete less videos before being able to mark complete the lesson or take a quiz. They have to watch 100% of the video, and it makes sure that they do that. And so in order to work with that advanced videos, you have to be on YouTube, Wistia, or Vimeo, because the integration is built with 3 platforms in mind.
And just one quick thing on the video thing. Some people with continuing education credits are worried about the time that somebody spends on a course. And that's why a lot of them use the video, because they can say, well, each video is 5 minutes. There's 10 courses. That's 500 minutes. That's so many hours. And so if that's your strategy to justify your hours for continuing education, having a tool like Advanced Videos makes the student watch the whole video and is tracked. But like Will said, you only have those 3 options for video hosting: YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia.
Exactly. But if you're not requiring that required completion time, you could go with anything that works in WordPress. But I'll pass it to you. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I personally use a tool called Adillo, but there's bunny.net. There's a ton of them that are more budget oriented. But remember, sometimes budget oriented doesn't meet the minimum requirement of who is accrediting your service. Okay, I think we said enough, dude. It is the top of the hour. So how can people best reach you, Will, when they can't find you here?
Just Google like Magical Middleton. You'll find my site. You'll find my YouTube with all kinds of LifterLMS tutorials on there.
Excellent. And as for me, if you want to connect with Kurt Von Onen, you can find Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn, because apparently I live there part-time. All right. And with that, we're going to give you the shout out. Have a great one. We'll see you next week.